A woman was set on fire and killed on the subway in Brooklyn over the weekend.
Yeah. Really tragic and disturbing story.
And we're here today to really take a deep dive into it,
Definitely.
try to understand what we know so far.
Yeah, I mean, anytime we hear a story like this, it's, it really shakes you to your core.
Yeah.
And, I think a lot of people are going to be really interested to understand exactly what happened.
Exactly. And I think it's important to be, sensitive to the victims and the families,
Absolutely.
but also try to glean something from these horrible events.
Right. I think that's the goal here.
Yeah. So this happened on Sunday morning on an F train
Yeah.
in Brooklyn.
At Coney Island, yeah.
At Coney Island.
Yeah, the last stop on the F line.
The last stop on the line.
Yeah.
Um, and the woman appeared to have been sleeping when this happened.
Yeah, they believe that she was asleep when the suspect approached her and used a lighter to ignite her clothing.
Yeah, this is a detail that's really hard to get past.
Yeah.
And just thinking about the level of violence involved,
That's
incredibly disturbing.
What do we know about the suspect?
So the suspect is a 33-year-old man.
Okay.
And what's really striking about this case is that it appears that they were complete strangers.
Yeah, that really to me is one of the most unsettling aspects of this.
Yeah.
It feels so random.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
really, I think it makes you question your sense of safety.
Yeah.
When you're out in public.
Especially in closed spaces like a subway car.
Right, exactly.
You're sort of trapped in there with whoever happens to be on the train with you.
Exactly.
And so that just amplifies the fear factor, I think, for a lot of people.
Right. And it's statistically, stranger attacks are less common than, someone who's known to the victim.
Okay.
But when they do happen like this, it just is so jarring.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like it could happen to anyone at any time.
Right. And it kind of, it taps into that primal fear that we all have.
Yeah. I think everyone has felt at some point a little bit vulnerable or uneasy when they're in a situation where they don't feel totally in control.
Absolutely.
And this just really plays on that.
Yeah. And it takes away that sort of illusion of safety that we like to, we try to hold on to.
Right.
Right. So the suspect was apprehended?
Yes, he was apprehended at the scene.
At the scene.
Yeah. And, authorities are still investigating.
Right.
Trying to piece together exactly what happened. They're utilizing surveillance footage from the train itself.
Okay.
As well as body camera footage from the police officers.
So both of those are in play here.
Exactly. So that'll give them, a much more complete picture of what transpired.
Okay, yeah. It seems like those body cameras are becoming more and more crucial in these investigations.
Absolutely. It's a tool that can be used, for accountability and transparency, but also just to provide, a more accurate representation of what actually occurred.
And those things can sometimes be very different.
Right.
So motives, that's obviously the big question here.
Absolutely.
Is there any insight yet as to what may have driven this person to do this?
At this point, it's really too early to say.
Yeah.
We don't want to speculate.
Right.
In cases like this, though, it's important to consider a range of possibilities.
Sure.
Anything from mental health issues to, extreme rage triggered by something.
Okay.
Seemingly insignificant,
It could be anything.
Right.
Obviously this event is just, it's so horrific and it's shaken so many people.
Yeah.
What can we do as individuals or as a community to feel safer, in light of this?
Well, I think it's important to acknowledge those feelings of vulnerability.
Yeah.
We can't ignore them.
Right.
But, we also can't let fear completely paralyze us.
Right.
I think it's important to be aware of our surroundings.
Yeah.
Look out for one another when we're on public transportation.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Be mindful of safety measures. And also, on a broader level, I think it's important to advocate for better mental health resources.
That's a good point.
And support systems within our communities.
Yeah.
Addressing those underlying issues can help prevent future tragedies.
It's such a complicated topic, but, we've got to start somewhere.
Exactly.
And this is, a tragic reminder that we have work to do.
Right.
Well, this deep dive has been I think, important.
Yeah, for sure.
But very heavy.
Absolutely.
The investigation's ongoing, and hopefully we'll get some more answers as to what exactly happened here.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a stark reminder that these things can happen.
Yeah.
And we have to be aware of that.
I agree.
And try to find ways to prevent them in the future.
Absolutely.
So I'm really curious to get the listeners' thoughts on this.
Yeah.
What do you think is the best way to prevent these kinds of tragedies from happening?
Yeah. And how do we balance, individual safety with the need for, accessible and, a thriving public transit system?
That's a great point. Yeah.
That everyone feels comfortable using.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let us know your thoughts on that.
Okay, well, that wraps up our deep dive today.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time.
See you then.